right, there you go.
Awesome. So we'll see if anybody comes in. I'm gonna wash my hands real fast.
Your mom is watching. Your mom.
Oh, awesome. Hi, Mom.
My mom is watching.
Hi, Cindy.
Like always, we have really good parental support.
Oh. Well, it's close to 5, I think, so we'll go ahead and get started. Tonight we're doing a easy fudgy brownies with a Buckeye topping. So we're going to be making the Buckeye cream with the peanut butter, and then we're going to make ganache to go over top of that. So tonight what I did, sort of jumped ahead of some things and sort of measured some things out just so you guys can see what it looks like with the actual ounces compared to cups and whatnot. So here we have our flour and our cocoa. So I'll get to the measurements as we go, but I just sort of wanted to break it out for you. So we have our chocolate and our butter. We have our sugars, which is brown sugar and white sugar. And we have our salt on top of that, which is hard to see because of the white, I guess. We have the eggs, and then we've got our vanilla. And that's everything for our brownies. So then the next part to that would be the peanut butter topping, so our Buckeye topping. So we have butter, we have our peanut butter, we've got our vanilla extract, which we'll use for that also, and then we'll also have our confectionery sugar. So that'll all make up the peanut butter layer. And then for our ganache, we have some of our rich unsweetened cocoa, and we'll be melting those down. We have a stick of butter to go with that, and that will make up our, with heavy cream. We'll have to get the heavy cream out here in a little bit, but that will make up the actual ganache. So we'll go ahead and get started. So the first thing is I've washed my hands. The main reason why we're doing something baked good tonight is because we've got a convection oven. So on your convection oven setting, if you want to step on around here, the bottom of this oven is a convection oven. Basically the difference between a convection and a conventional oven is your convection oven is going to have a fan somewhere located in the unit. That fan's going to circulate around the hot air and cook and make like if you're making cookies or cakes and stuff like that, it's going to fluff it up. So and that's really nice for the entrance of the air. So a conventional oven, which is what we normally have in our homes, it just has the heating element without the fan. So the important part is, though, with the convection oven, one of the things that you need to remember is that most of the recipes that will call for in an oven, they will give you the degrees for a conventional oven setting. So this one is 350 degrees. So if we use the convection setting, we're going to lower that temperature by 25 degrees. So you don't want to lower your time, you want to lower your degree. So we'll hit the convection setting. We'll hit start. And then we said we was doing 325 degrees, so that's already there. So we'll hit start again. So as you see it starting to heat up, the convection oven is on. So we'll go ahead and let that rapid preheat. And we'll come back over here and start working on our brownies. Now the first step in this is to actually melt down our butter and our chocolate. So I have a small pan set up for that. So I'm just going to drop this right down in there. Just breaking up the butter so it melts a little bit easier and quicker for us. Now, this oven also does have a melting section. So if you have fortunate enough to have a melting section, what you can do is turn that melt. I usually turn mine on 4 with that chocolate and just set that right there on the melting section. So we'll let that get started to melt, and we'll come back over here. We got that going. One of the things that this says to do is actually line your cookware, your 9x13 pan, with parchment paper. But I'm going to not do that. I'm going to go ahead and just spray our pan here. And I'm using a 9x13 Pyrex that's high walled, because I want to make room. I had plenty of room for the ganache and the peanut butter. Okay. Now, in the bowl stand mixer, which I use KitchenAid, which is great, we're going to do the first part, which is all of our sugars and our salt. So we have, okay, I'm sorry. So that was 8 ounces of unsalted butter, and that was 4 ounces of chocolate. I use milk chocolate with that. Anytime that I use a chocolate, I usually just pick up Kroger's. This is what I usually do with my dipping candies. So this usually works really good. It melts nice and evenly. It's not too waxy. So that was 2 blocks of those. And then this next section calls for 6 ounces of white sugar, calls for 4 ounces of brown sugar, and then it also calls for 1 teaspoon of salt. So that's all here. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this and put it right here in our mixer. It says for the vanilla, 2 teaspoons of vanilla. Now, baking is a science, but whenever it comes to vanilla extract, I don't think that you can have too much. So it calls for 2 teaspoons. So I'm just going to sort of guesstimate. And then we're actually going to take our eggs and add at this point as well. So we're going to add our 4 large eggs. So just throw them on that plate. Show you guys a trick real fast in order to break your whites from your yellow or your yolks. If you ever need to, you can actually come in if it's calling for the whites. Then what I would do is I would come in and just go ahead and open that up. And then you can actually just take the yolk and just pour it right between your fingers. And so now I've got the yolk in my fingers and all the whites in the bowl. So if you ever need to separate, that's one way to do it. A little bit messy, but nevertheless it works really nice. And you don't have to worry about shells falling off into your whites or anything along those lines. Okay. Now we've got our wire attachment, so I'm going to go ahead and put that on the mixer. And we will pulsate that so it doesn't explode into our face. Now we're going to incorporate some air into that, so that's why we're using the wire whip. And we will let that run for about 2 or 3 minutes. We're going to step back over and check on our chocolate and our butter. And it's melting down nice. Oops.
Your mom says you can use an egg separator too.
Yeah, you can. And then you have to buy it, so. Now, as you see, it's incorporated some air, so it's actually gotten nice and fluffy for us. It's got a nice, really good color to it. So then our next thing would be to sift, yeah, I did, okay, is to get our flour and our cocoa and sift those out. So basically what I've got here is 2 ounces of cocoa powder, which I just basically have the Hershey's cocoa in powder form. And then I have 5 ounces of all-purpose flour, or you can use cake flour for a more tender brownie. Make sure you sift that though so it takes out all the lumps and stuff. So let me get a plate and I will sift this out as well. So the reason why we sift this out is just basically to make sure that there's no large clumps in it. I'm going to sift that through. As you see, we have a little bit of cocoa in there. Basically mash that through so it comes together just like that. We've got that sifted out. next thing that we have to wait on now is for our butter and chocolate mixture to melt. That is the preheat on the oven, so it is preheated. I don't really have any ideas for next week. So if anybody has any ideas, you can kick them out and let me know what you think. I've got some soups, but we're coming up to warmer weather, so I don't know if we want to get into soups too much. If you don't have a melting spot on your stove, another good thing to do would be do a double boiler. So basically what you could do is just take a regular pot and get another pot that will fit right on top of it. This is a bad example, but it will fit right on top. You fill the bottom with water to about here. The top one sits on it, and then whatever you're trying to melt goes right there on top. The steam will actually conduct that heat, and so it won't burn or scorch the bottom. So that's known as a double boiler. And I know a lot of you guys know about double boilers, but some might not. So that's another good way to melt stuff. Tonight's a little bit easier. You guys might be able to keep up a little bit better. I know I've got a couple of complaints from a couple of people that said they can't keep up whenever I'm cooking. Again, like what I was saying about in the with the ingredients, if you've got a peanut allergy, another thing that you can do is just leave that Buckeye layer out and make your brownies with the ganache, and it's still going to be really, really good. Just got a little bit of chocolate left down here. So on the 25th, just to give everybody a heads up, I know it's still a lot of way, but I'm trying to make some time here. The 25th, we will not be in town. So we're going to have to forego the 25th, which is the second last Thursday of the month of June. So unfortunately we won't be here that week, but we'll be able to get back with you once we come back. So. All right. So that is melted down. So now what we're going to do with this is we're going to set it probably in the refrigerator or in the freezer so it melts relatively quickly.
Melts?
Or I'm sorry, so it cools relatively quickly because we don't want it to be really, really hot whenever we put it in with the egg mixture. And the reason why we don't want it in there with the egg mixture hot is because we don't want to scald the eggs.
Do you want a hot pad?
Okay, so we've got that together. Let that cool off for a few minutes because we don't want the hot mixture to go in with the eggs and then actually boil the eggs while it's in the mixture. That would make quite a nasty brownie, I think. So,
Be like hard-boiled egg brownie.
right? I guess it'd be a good breakfast brownie.
I don't think so, Joe. So your mom's suggestion is Mexican salsa with homemade tortilla chips.
Okay. Could look into that.
Then we would need to do it on Tuesday instead of Thursday.
Make it on Thursday and then, keep it for Tuesday. Warm, it'll be all right. Okay. Now what we're going to do is we're going to add the melted chocolate mixture to the egg mixture and whisk until it's combined. Oops. So I'm just going to turn that on low. And add that chocolate mixture in here with the egg mixture. I might need my spatula.
We have not put the dry in, Mom, so
No.
you're fine.
Use some rubber spatula.
I'm trying to.
I know, but I gotta get in here. Hand me the measuring cup, please. Thank you. No, because we are going to actually fold the flour mixture into this mixture here. All right.
I want to get a napkin.
Turn that on about 2 and let it roll. All right. Now for our next step. We're going to take our bowl off. Now we are going to take our dry mixture. Remember, it's been sifted. We're going to add that right in there. And we're going to fold that in.
I'm too short.
Now folding is going to incorporate a little bit more air into this too.
Well, Kathy, tell her to find it on YouTube later tonight, and then she can watch it and make it at home sometime.
Yeah, I will upload it to YouTube, our YouTube channel. And what you have to do is just search Cooking with Joe. Come cook with Joe. Right. That's why I've got you.
I'd be at Caitlin's too. They just got that pool up.
So all of our videos can actually be found there on Come Cook with Joe. We've got 4 of them up there right now. So, and if you go, make sure you like them for me. It'll definitely help me out, unless you don't like it, and you can give me a thumbs down. But okay, so now this has been incorporated. So now if you wanted to add any other things like nuts and whatnot, now would be the time to do that and then incorporate that with the batter. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this and we're going to go ahead and dump it out right here in our pan. There we have that. Now, again, if you guys remember, I said to lower the temperature but not the time. So what we want to do is make sure that we stick this in the oven and we will cook it for 20 minutes or until a toothpick comes out clear. So I'm going to take this and put it right here in the bottom of the convection oven. Hey Google, set a time for 20 minutes.
Okay, 20 minutes.
And we've got a 20-minute timer going. Now we can work on our ganache. So, first things first. What you're going to need is you're going to need a stick of butter, which is a half a cup. So we're going to bring it over here. We're going to throw that in our pot. There's a spoon here. And nothing over it. Okay. We've got our stick of butter in there. Now we need 1 cup of heavy cream. There's a cup. And that will go in the pot as well. Just like that. Now, before we get that started, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and take 16 ounces. I have chunks there. And we're going to need a bowl. Okay. These were the private selection, 62%. So you either needed 50 to 75 at least. And this is, where'd it go? There it is, 10 ounces. So we'll go ahead and throw that in, because that's almost all we need. We need 6 more ounces. So we will get another measuring cup. 6 ounces is 3/4 of a cup. I usually use this one. So that bottom is actually an 8-ounce mark. Leave that in there. Set this aside for later. Okay, now. Since we've got that set up, what we can do is come back over here and we're going to start those on medium. And we're going to watch it. Because right whenever it first starts to boil and the butter's melted, we are going to take it off the heat and pour it over our chocolate. And then we will mix it into the chocolate until the chocolate melts. Butter up just a pinch. If anyone has ever seen a recipe that calls for clarified butter, just to sort of fill this time as we're going. Clarified butter is basically if you take your regular butter, put it in a pot, and start to boil it until the sediments actually separate. And then what you can do is actually strain that butter, and what the clear part is, not the sediments, but the clear part is your clarified butter. And again, that has nothing to do with this recipe. just some
Fun facts with Joe.
Yeah, fun facts with Joe. Has everyone been able to keep up tonight?
Not getting a no.
That's a good thing. I guess everybody's sort of busy if they're cooking, right?
Right. They're stirring their cream and butter. That plate right there is like...
Is it bad?
Yeah.
Does that help any? No. It helped last time either. Let's see. Now, if you wanted to make your ganache ahead of time, you could. You can actually put it in the refrigerator, make it out all the way through, put it in a bowl and put it in the refrigerator. And then whenever you're ready to use it, you can actually stick it in the microwave for a couple of seconds and it should melt for you really nice. Or if you're ever wanting to make something like a lava cake, it actually calls for a piece of ganache. You can take it out, cut it up, and then put it in your cake batter mixture. Okay, all of my butter is melted.
So Kathy's going to make them later when Kendall's home. And your mom is waiting until we come over, or she has to go take them somewhere because she doesn't want to eat the whole pan.
Yeah, Kim and I was actually thinking about making some Buckeyes and some salted caramel chocolate cookies and bagging them up and bringing them to some friends. So.
But if anybody would like some peanut butter brownies, yeah, no, we're going to have a whole pan available.
All right, I'm starting to see the bubbles come up through the bottom. So I'm going to go ahead and turn the heat off. Then we're going to break right over here with the chocolate. Pour that in. Now that cream and butter should start melting the chocolate. And we're just going to stir it until everything gets incorporated and that chocolate melts all the way. Ganaches are really good for cakes and for cheesecakes, these brownies.
It smells good.
Silky and very glossy. It's so pretty. And boom, we have a ganache. Beautiful. All right. Now, next thing to do. Bear with me as I clean out my mixing bowl. Because the next thing we've got to do is fix our peanut butter section of the Buckeyes. And I will give you a secret. This is one of my favorites. With this recipe that we're about to do, this is actually the base recipe for my Buckeyes. So you can actually make this, and we're just going to basically cover the brownies with them.
Levi's allergic to peanut butter, actually, Darlene, so he does not like it at all. Now, Ella, on the other hand, will probably be a hot mess with these.
If you have a candy disher at the house, you can take them and ball up your Buckeyes, and then just melt down an entire thing like that, and that I showed you before from Kroger's, and dip them, and you're good to go. So again, you will now have the recipe to my Buckeyes. Okay. We're going to take our butter, 1 stick, add it to our mixer. We're going to take this is 2 pounds. We're going to go with 2 cups. That's 2, 4. No, I'm sorry. We're going to go with 4 cups. Yes, that is 1 pound of confectionery sugar. And we will put that into our mixer. I need 1.5 cups of peanut butter.
Oh, Riley's hovering though, Darlene, I promise.
This is one of his favorite treats.
He's snuffing, nose in the air, sniffing.
He's my little tester buddy whenever I get him done. Right in there with the confectionery sugar and butter. Alrighty. Now, the left we've got to do is add the vanilla extract. About 2 teaspoons again by eyesight. Oh, there it is. Now for this one I usually use my paddle. So, because usually after it gets on there for a while it usually gets pretty stiff. Alright, now the trick is pulsate your mixer. Do not turn it on full go or else you will look like Casper the Ghost. So, we're going to try to get as much of that confectionery sugar incorporated as possible with that peanut butter. There we go. All right, now a trick with KitchenAid mixers, or any mixers for that matter, yes. So we're missing a lot of stuff on the bottom. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually disengage the paddle, I think, and allow that to fall. And then I'm going to start it up again, because what that will do is actually let the blade or whatever get all the way on the bottom. Now you can see I'm picking up some of that sugar down here on the bottom.
My aunt didn't know you could do that. So
Yep.
she learned something new tonight.
There you go.
There you go, Kath.
And that works really well with your wire whip. All right, so unlock this. Now, we've got some really good peanut butter. Okay. Oh, there. Yeah, so if you ever go and make Buckeyes, you see how well that forms together. And then, like I said, once you ball those out, you'll stick them in your refrigerator and you'll start melting your chocolate. And then once your chocolate gets melted, you take those back out, line your jelly roll pan with parchment or wax paper, and then take those back out of the refrigerator so they're good and hard. And then use a toothpick and just dip them, and then set them back on the parchment paper and stick that back in the refrigerator so your chocolate sits real good. So, and then you've got good Buckeyes. So, let me check this timer real fast over there. Hey, Giggle, how much time on the timer?
You've got 2 minutes and 46 seconds to go.
Okay, 2 minutes. Let's check these and see where we're at. Yeah.
Oh. That's gonna be longer than 20.
Yeah. So. Alrighty. So, I guess one thing I could do is just talk you through the rest of this, because my brownies aren't close to being done. So, all we're going to do is once the brownies come out, let them semi-cool, and then you're going to take your peanut butter and just basically take out clumps. And probably what I would do is go ahead and mash it out a little bit, okay? And then put that down on your brownies, all right? And then after you do that, your ganache should be good and loose, right? And so with that, what you do is just pour it over top of your brownie or your peanut butter, and then level it out, and then you've got some good brownies. So let that cool, set in the fridge, let it cool, let the ganache harden just a little bit, and then whenever you slice into it, you're gonna have some wonderful Buckeyes. So guys, I'll take a finished picture of this once it gets done and put it on Facebook. Again, I trust you guys, you can do it, you got this. So just make your layer of peanut butter and then finish off with the top of the ganache. So guys, thanks for coming and cooking with Joe, and we'll see you next Thursday.